Good afternoon, everyone. It's 2:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We've got 3 items on the agenda today. We have CPCC here with their budget request. We have our court officials here, and then we'll wrap up with commissioner reports. So I want to say welcome to everyone. We will start with introductions, and we'll start with our clerks.
Good afternoon. I am Christine Smith, clerk to the board.
Good afternoon. I am Marlissa Easton, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm George Lap, elected by the people of District 3.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Rodriguez McDowell, elected by the people of District 6.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
Good afternoon. Lee Altman, County Commissioner serving at large. I also have the privilege of serving as Vice Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again. My name is Mark Jarrell. I've been elected by the people of District 4. Also have the honor and privilege of serving as chair.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leak, and I represent the most powerful district in the county, and that's District 2. And look at my numbers. Just look at the numbers.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name's Arthur Griffin. I have the pleasure of serving as County Commissioner at Large.
Good afternoon. I am Mecklenburg County Commissioner Elaine Powell. I represent Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, North Charlotte, part of Lake Norman, and part of Mountain Island Lake. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram, and I have the pleasure of serving the county at large.
Good afternoon, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Dina Diorio, County Manager.
Executive team members and staff.
Good afternoon, Anthony Troutman, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Leslie Johnson, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Mike Bryant, Incoming County Manager.
Good afternoon, Derek Ramos, Deputy County Manager and Chief of Staff.
Good afternoon, Adrian Cox, County Budget Director.
Good afternoon, Michael Griswold, Director, Strategy and Innovation.
Good afternoon, Andy Fair, Interim Director of Public Information.
Good afternoon, Lyon Williams, Deputy Budget Director.
Do we have any staff over there? No?
Good afternoon, I'm Lizette Nimitz, Intergovernmental Affairs.
Thank you. All right. If you'll stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, I'll turn it over to the county manager to tee us up for our first presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 budget presentations this afternoon. The first is from Central Piedmont, and I will ask Dr. Candy Diedemeyer to come to the podium and kick us off.
Good afternoon and welcome, Dr. Diedemeyer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. It's great to be with you this afternoon. If I can, Mr. Chair, I just want to introduce Jessica Boyce, who's with me today, our VP of Finance and Facility Services, Administrative Services. She'll be joining me for the presentation. And then I have a couple of team members as well in the audience, if I can just introduce them very quickly. So Catherine Butler, our VP of Communications and Marketing, our Senior Vice President, Dr. Tracy Clark, who's in charge of strategy, and then Mark Short, who serves as Chief of Staff. So good afternoon, and thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you as we present our 2025-2026 county budget presentation. Let me start, if I may, just thanking you for all of your support over the years, as well as your service to our great county, and always been supportive of the college. So I am very, it's a pleasure to be here. I also want to just thank the county manager and her staff for another incredible year. You know, throughout the year, we interface with them on a number of occasions, yes, with budget, but et cetera. And so I just want to say thank you to them for their hard work this year in preparation for this presentation and for their continuing partnership on your behalf. Really to make sure that the college continues to be the educational and workforce partner I think everybody desires us to be. So it is a great week at Central Piedmont. I always seem to come to you when it's about graduation season. So budget, graduation. I prefer graduation, to be honest, but it is a great week at the college this week. On Thursday, we have 2 ceremonies, and I thought you might be interested to know that we're going to have 1,610 students graduate with some type of a certificate, associate degree, or diploma in our curriculum kind of pathways. We will also have another 259 students who have finished some type of career and college readiness. So that is some type of high school entree credential as well. And so it'll be my pleasure on Thursday during those 2 ceremonies to shake over 1,000+ hands, and we're excited for all of those individuals to either transfer or to move on to a 4-year institution or into the workforce. So let me see if I can get this to work. So I want to just, if we can, just level set today as we get started. And I wanted to spend a few minutes highlighting some of the things that we've been working really hard on, really over the last several years, that I think is beginning to show some great achievements for the institution, but more importantly, for the college. And I also think these numbers demonstrate the impact and the hard work that our faculty and staff are producing every day to make sure that Central Piedmont Community College is not only the best community college in North Carolina, but continuing to be one, I think, in the nation. So over the past several years, we have worked diligently to ensure we are meeting the workforce, talent, and educational needs of our community, and certainly our business partners. So this slide specifically is going to celebrate both the largest fall enrollment and the largest spring enrollment in the history of Central Piedmont Community College, which I think is significant. And those are unduplicated headcounts. So when you see a number that says 31,000 students, or you see a number that says 33,000 students in a spring semester, those are unique individuals that we have touched in some way at the institution. So that's 10 consecutive semesters of enrollment growth. That doesn't happen by happenstance. I would say to you, this slide, while our budget presentation is why we're here, this is about investment. This is about the investment of time that our employees really think about what we're doing. How do we improve our processes to make sure students can get through the pipeline? This number of $4 million in terms of foundation scholarships, when I arrived in January of 2017, Central Piedmont was able to invest in our students at about $1 million a year in scholarships. So these are efforts where myself and the team in advancement, and really a lot of other partners, are really trying to make an investment, raise philanthropic funds to make sure not only are we increasing access to higher education and the quality of what we're turning out, but also that we have funds that will help make sure that students can not only gain access to higher education, but certainly complete. One of the things that I think we're most proud of is that we have really looked at our internal processes to make sure that we're allowing students to not only register and make it through the enrollment pipeline and be retained. But I also want to just point out this multi-term registration. Many institutions in higher ed are not doing this. And so what that meant is we've already opened registration for both fall and spring of next year. We opened summer enrollment back earlier this spring, maybe in October. I'd have to check on that, October, because we wanted to test what it would be like if we opened summer enrollment that's getting ready to start if we did that earlier. And so we've already outpaced what we did last semester or last summer. We're beyond 10,000 already for this summer, and enrollment is continuing. So I think what I'm trying to say is we continue to try to not only be the best community college and make investments, but make sure that the pipeline is truly, as we say, open. The open door is really open to access for our students and for our community. So I want to talk, if I can, as we think about the investment in the college. I think it's imperative that we keep in mind that we are still and remain the hub and the center of the workforce ecosystem in Charlotte and in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. So our numerous partnerships continue to make significant contributions and really the impact on our county. So I couldn't at all today point out all of the partnerships and really trying to make an impact on that workforce, but I want to highlight a few that of our workforce partners from this year, things that are continuing. So as you see here, Duke Energy and Pike have continued to be strong partners. They helped us launch an electrical line worker program just a couple of years ago. We have already graduated 66 individuals in just 2 years with that investment, and now as we're building that permanent line worker facility, which I'll talk about in just a minute, that capacity is just going to continue to grow to be able to impact that workforce. Our partnership with Medic remains strong with over 40 students in the cohort just this past year. And I think I spoke about Coca-Cola Consolidated. You may have seen some media around that. They stepped forward and gave us 30 apprenticeships, which is pretty unheard of for one partner. And so this is the second year of that. We've been very strategic with them about determining who they want in that pipeline in their workforce. And so making sure that those 30 apprenticeships come online and get onboarded in the correct fashion, not only from the college's perspective as the workforce partner, but what that workforce partner's needs truly are. As you will see on this, we want to also highlight, I was talking to one of the commissioners prior to the meeting about the ecosystem of workforce. And I really go back to my comments earlier. We really believe Central Piedmont is the hub and the central aspect of what the workforce ecosystem is to the community. In some ways, we are connected to so many other partners that are in the workforce ecosystem. But I want to highlight over the 223 employers that are currently engaged in some type of work-based learning partnership with the college. And so what does that mean? That means some way one of those partners has hosted or is hosting either a co-op or a work-based learning, paid or unpaid, or an apprenticeship opportunity within their company. And they're beginning to test the runway. So I can try out a company if I'm engaged in that. They can also try out that student to determine if there's a match from both the employer and potential employee. We have a high percentage of students that will wind up actually becoming partners or employees within those companies. So all of these partnerships demonstrate workforce training and partnership, and ultimately that the college is helping to build a talent pipeline for our growing county. Workforce partnerships are critical, and you will always hear me talk about those, but it is also our educational partners that I want to also talk a little bit about today. We continue to focus on those and to grow those because we know that that is really important to our students and to access, to continue in the workforce partnerships, but also if our students want to move on to a four-year experience. We continue to rethink and expand our educational partnerships. And so many of the, on the right-hand side, many of those institutions, both public and private, have entered into what we call guaranteed admissions programs with us. And that's really imperative for our students. So if a student comes to Central Piedmont and they know for sure that they want to move to Strayer, or they want to go to North Carolina A&T, or they want to go to Lees-McRae, or they want to go to App State, or yes, they want to stay right here in Charlotte, our largest partner, which is UNC Charlotte, we have those agreements already that say if you come to the college and you enter into this pathway and into this program, they will guarantee admission. Most of the time, those students are getting some type of scholarship both at Central Piedmont, but many of those four-year institutions are also offering scholarships for students to advance into those pipelines. So it's really great for a student to have some assurance and that guarantee when they come to Central Piedmont that their four-year pathway is kind of laid out for them. I also want to highlight our Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools certainly is one of our largest partners in terms of education as well. And we continue to deepen and expand our partnership, ensuring that more students in Charlotte Mecklenburg have access to quality higher education. Again, for us, it's not only about quality education, it is about access, and it is about making sure that all students kind of see themselves in a workforce pathway, a transfer pathway, but that really college is an opportunity for them. So as you'll see here, we continue with our successful shared positions. They're called college and career coaches. They're at 12, and we believe those positions over the last couple of years, I think we're in our third year with those positions. Those are shared partnerships. The college and CMS pay the salary of those individuals. They are really Central Piedmont employees. We pay 51%, they pay 49%. We have embedded those individuals in some of our high schools, and we believe that those positions really have become a differentiator, and they can be directly linked back to some of the growth that we're experiencing in our dual enrollment program. So again, students are not only enrolling, but they're experiencing a quality higher ed experience while they're still in high school. So again, those credits are also reducing costs for families in the future for a college-going experience. I also want to highlight that Central Piedmont is now delivering college courses at 12 CMS high schools. So what that means is Central Piedmont Academy is delivering courses at the high school for students, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in just a minute. We hope to expand that to 19 high schools. And so maybe a student doesn't want to come to a campus, maybe they're not in a middle college experience, maybe they're not enrolled in our early college high school, maybe they don't want to take something online as a dual enrollment student, maybe they really need the one-to-one. And so being able to be in the high school with a college faculty member, beginning to let that student know that they have capability, they have promise, they have access to higher education, and that they can do it, I think is and will continue to be a game changer. So we're going to accelerate that part of what we're doing with CMS. And as I said, those courses are being delivered on those high school campuses. So before I discuss some other future program opportunities and maybe expand on that partnership with CMS just a little bit, I also wanted to showcase our commitment to community partnerships. So we start with workforce, we talked about educational partnerships, but we also do a lot within lifting up our community, which I hope many of you will recall. So a few things that are ongoing efforts are listed here, but whatever it is, the program, whatever it is, whether it's programming through our Small Business Center, our partnership still with the STRIVE program around early childhood, I really want to focus on our providing access to healthcare access. So we have a new wellness center on our central campus, which was opened recently with a federal grant that came through Representative Adams several years ago. It is now open. It is open not only to our students, but it's also open to the community. And that is a place that we consider a hub where anybody can come and gain access to another service. If we can be the lift that says, go here in the community for this service, how can we provide counseling to that student, or just be a place that, again, that we refer them to some other access. We want to be that partner. This also just highlights some things that we do in terms of our dental programs, free dental clinics. You'll see a couple listed there. And then you'll see this picture here is actually a retired physician with Atrium. That facility, that bus shows up on many occasions and provides women's wellness care right there where our Leon Levine Health Sciences Center is located. And so lastly, just to emphasize some of our academic program growth, it's great to say we're growing, but there's a reason and a why to that. We're not growing just because we want to grow. I think what we're trying to show and demonstrate in terms of investment is we have capacity. You've heard me say that several years. We believe that some of the things we're doing to make sure everybody has more access to higher education and quality higher ed is working. And so this is just a really quick look at the timeline between summer of 25 through fall of 26 of a number of things that'll come online. And I'll just highlight a couple. I won't read all of them because I want to get to Jessica's budget presentation. The first one is around aviation. We've recently started a flight school where students take their coursework with Central Piedmont and then through a private pilot do their private pilot training hours. You'll also notice nursing is up there. We continue to expand the pipeline for nursing. We've recently doubled the numbers up to 200 plus. And so this really is for someone who currently holds a licensed practical nursing credential, that we are now building that bridge program, that they come back to us, finish up some courses so they can move from LPN to RN. So that's pretty significant as well. I want to pause and look at automotive this summer. That is a partnership that we're doing with CMS. Many of our CMS has an automotive program, but if you don't know that that's what you want to do and get started, you kind of get off track. So if you miss Automotive 1, that's just for simplification today. Don't call it that. I'm not sure exactly. But let's say it's Automotive 1. And then you decide second semester or third semester, I really think I should have done that. There's no way to get back in that. So through this partnership, what we're going to be able to do this summer is get high school students back in sequence. And they're going to be able to earn some dual credit to do that with our automotive faculty. This effort is being supported by a philanthropic partner that we went to and asked if they would be willing. It's going to provide students with a stipend to be there this summer. It'll provide them lunch. It'll provide them a transportation voucher, and it will certainly provide them with some supplies to be successful. I mentioned the Central Piedmont Academy. You might want to ask me, well, what kind of classes were we offering within that academy at the high schools? We originally started that academy by offering English and math, but have now expanded it to psychology, history, American Sign Language, business, and criminal justice. And we are open and have discussed with all of the principals, both at the 12 and then the expanding, what is it that your students would desire? What are you as a principal seeing might be a need? And so we will continue to build those pathways and offer the classes as the principals help co-design. Architecture is one that we have continued to have a great growth strategy there. Students are really excited about being in architecture. And as you know, UNC Charlotte, who is our largest transfer partner, has a very successful program. It's highly competitive to get in. We are going to expand this program because it is currently housed at our Harper campus. We are going to expand it and offer classes also at our Cato location, which is over in the university area, so that we can be more collaborative with the UNC Charlotte. We're going to open some more space, some more studio space, and allow the students to have some more real-life work experience and experience with probably with dual faculty. A new program in radiography will also open. That'll give us an ability to host an associate's degree in radiography. And so we're looking forward to that offering as well. And then lastly, our skilled trades, the line worker program, as I mentioned, we're continuing to build out that permanent facility. Once that is online, we'll be able to do some things indoors in terms of training, be able to significantly grow that offering. And then that in the temporary line worker, if you've been out towards the Harper campus, you see the temporary line worker is set up on the front lawn. I thought that was eventually going to go away. Perhaps things happen at the college. The president doesn't always know. We're going to keep that space because it's going to allow us to temporarily move in the direction of offering some cable and no voltage training in that space as well. So it'll expand our offerings as well. So as I said, lots of great things happening at the college. I want to end on one note, which is not in my slide deck. And that is, a couple of years ago, Truist gave the college a significant gift. And as part of that gift, we opened an honors college at Central Piedmont. We had never had one in the 60-plus years at the institution. We felt like we have really great scholars at the institution. For those of you who've been at commencement, you know, our average GPA or our class GPA is 3.6, 3.5. It's up there. So we have true scholars. And so as part of that gift, we asked Truist to open an honors college. I'm so proud of the 300-plus students who are in that program, and it's growing every day, and it will likely grow more because of the success. They are doing research, and they are competing amongst their peers at baccalaureate degrees, et cetera. But recently, they competed with the Society of American Archaeologists at their 20th annual ethics bowl competition. They had PhD students, they had master students, and they had some bachelor students that were participating. So I'm going to put my glasses on for this one because it's in really fine print. But that competition, I'm going to just read this straight away. During the competition, some of their peers, the PhD students, the master students, and the few baccalaureate students that were there snickered at the community college team who had showed up to compete. And they were first and second year community college scholars from different disciplines. In a couple of the responses where the students were asked to be focused and respond, they had an opportunity to talk about the value of being at a community college, standing up for what you believe in and working through change. They highlighted how the honors program prepares them for life after college. They pointed out that learning outside of the classroom is why they have confidence and courage to dream big, believe in themselves, and know that they are not simply community college students. They are just as good as a university student. And additionally, they said the honors program reinforces that their expectations for them are not watered down and that they must believe in themselves because we believe in them. It's really my privilege to announce to this group that not only did our students compete, but they walked away winning the whole competition. And so I end on that note because I will not tell you how long ago this person who stands before you graduated from a community college, and I do not love it when somebody says, but it's just no. So I'm very proud of our students and what they are able to accomplish. The research that they're doing is surpassing even peers at the other institutions. I just would like to end by saying before we get to the budget, there's a place for all of us, but there's an absolute place for the tremendous efforts that our scholars put forward every day. And I hope if you have a chance on Thursday to come to Bojangles, you'll see a bunch of great people graduate. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, who's going to present our county budget request, and then we'll answer any questions.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Diedemeyer. Thank you, Commissioners and Manager Diorio, for the opportunity to present our fiscal year 26 budget request to you today. And thank you to the county staff for the partnership as we work through the details of our budget request.
Excuse me, can you speak just a little bit louder, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. Is that better?
In the mic. Thank you.
I'll try to lean forward. Is that better?
That's good.
Okay, great. Let me get a little situated here. So each year we start our budget process by establishing Central Piedmont's budget priorities and ensure that they are aligned with the strategic plan and our student needs. And the objectives from our strategic plan that connect to the budget are strategic stewardship of financial and facility resources and talent development. From sound fiscal management of county funds, the college will be able to continue strategic investments in security and safety measures, maintain a clean and organized learning environment, continuing the maintenance of our facilities and infrastructure to ensure the longevity of the county's investments, recruit and retain talent in a highly competitive market, and fund mandatory raises and increases in health and retirement benefits. As inflation is expected to continue in this upcoming year's economy, inflation adjustments have been incorporated into the budget request. The capital maintenance program has been highly effective in protecting the county's investment in our buildings and infrastructure, as well as maintaining utility costs. We strive to offer competitive wages in order to attract highly qualified employees that deliver exceptional education and support our students and our community, and the wage and benefit allocation from the county supports us in that effort. Presented is our fiscal year 26 budget request, the fiscal year 25 adopted budget, and the year-over-year change or the variance. This slide summarizes the county budget request into 4 categories. The first 3 categories represent maintenance and operations of the college's infrastructure, as well as safety provisions for our students, faculty, and staff. And the 4th category assists us with retaining and hiring high-quality staff. The total fiscal year 26 county operating budget request is $49.9 million, which is a $2.5 million increase from fiscal year 25, or a 5.4% increase. The next slide details the components of our request. So here we see the details of our fiscal year 26 request. I'll highlight the largest changes year over year, but I'm happy to answer any questions on items that I don't cover. The first row that I'll draw your attention to is row 3, salaries and benefits. The increase is $782,000, which is a 9% increase. And this increase reflects the expected mandatory state health and benefit increases, as well as a wage increase and additional security staff. The next 2 rows to discuss are rows 7 and 9, which together reflect the facility maintenance costs. These line items contain the budgeted expense for our third-party service provider for facilities management and a few other items. This is the largest driver of our increase for fiscal year 26. Combined, the increase is $883,000, or a 5% increase. And the increase is due to contractual rate increase for that third-party service provider, as well as budgeted increases to repairs to facilities and contracted services such as HVAC, equipment repairs, office moves, which are all either in excess or outside the facilities management contract. Row 13, the wage and benefit allocation, the increase is $301,000, which is a 3% increase, and this increase reflects the estimated state mandated salary and benefit increases like we see on row 3. We want to thank the county for their support of Central Piedmont and this salary allocation, which continues to be extremely helpful in our efforts to retain and attract talent. Again, the total fiscal year 26 operating request is $49.9 million, which is a $2.5 million increase, or 5.4%. For your analysis and information, we like to show an overall view of our county budget compared to the prior year. While the dollars have increased for the reasons that we walked through on the previous slide, the percentages remain consistent year over year. And the largest component of the county budget request remains capital purchases, facilities management, and security at 53%. And I believe in your printed materials, there was a typo on my part for fiscal year 25. The total didn't total. It is updated here on the screen, so my apologies for that typo in your printed materials. Another overview that we like to provide you is Central Piedmont's overall operating expense budget. The college has 3 main sources of operating funds. And they are state funds, county funds, and institutional funds. And institutional funds have been broken out into 3 categories here for further information. County funding represents 20% of the college's overall operating budget, and this remains consistent with fiscal year 25. The largest component of the college's operating budget is state funding at 53%. State funding must be used for instructional and instructional support purposes, and facility maintenance matters cannot be used for state funds. So the county fills that funding need and supports our infrastructure, maintenance, and security operations. The third component, which is institutional funds, must be used for the purpose for which it's charged. So student financial aid and grants mostly represents federal financial aid, which is used to cover the cost of tuition, books, and fees, or is distributed to the students once all of those educational expenses has been met and there's excess. As a reminder, Central Piedmont does not keep the curriculum tuition that it collects from students. It collects it and then remits it to the state. And in turn, we receive a state allocation based on a student full-time equivalent value that's the same for all 58 community colleges in the system. And our student fees include technology fees, lab fees, campus access and parking, student activity fees, and again, those fees are used for the purposes for which they're charged. Auxiliary services includes things like WTVI PBS Charlotte operations, our services core operations, our Central Piedmont print shop, and other auxiliary enterprises. This slide shows an accounting of how our capital maintenance dollars have been utilized fiscal year 2017 to 25. The first category, safety code improvements, represents our investment in card access security measures, establishing an emergency operations center, and fire sprinkling a building on our Moronkas campus. The next category, energy efficiency projects, are focused mainly on boilers and chillers, and the focus continues to bear fruit in decreased utility costs per square foot, as well as a decrease in emergency repairs. And we see the same from our investment in roof repairs and replacements. The last category is infrastructure and facility upfits, and those are mostly asphalt expenses, parking deck repairs, and new windows. Altogether, through this investment, we have completed 74 projects and are at varying stages of completion with the more recently funded projects. Our fiscal year 26 capital maintenance request is presented in priority order. For this upcoming year, we continue to focus on updates to security and infrastructure updates, as well as academic-focused interior improvements. A description for each project should be in your board packet for review. We'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present today, and thank you for the investment in the college, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Commissioner Powell, I'm going to start with you because I know you've got a hard stop. So, Madam Clerk, we're going to do 3 minutes, and it'll be Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Griffin, and then Commissioner Leek.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't really have any questions, just like a request for the future. I just came out of environmental stewardship where we were talking about 2035, and I'm happy to see your energy efficiency projects here. But in the future, it's one of our priorities, one of our board priorities, and I heard Dr. Dienemeyer I heard you addressing some of them in here without saying that. And it would be nice to have environmental stewardship in there. And, you know, in the future, it would be good if all the places that we are funding will commit to native landscaping on the properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me just thank you overall for your presentation. A lot as being a former trustee. I remember and followed a lot of the things that you talked about. On slide number 5, particularly, we talked about, as a budget matter, institutionalizing a co-op with our counselors and coaches with CMS when I was a trustee. And we were looking at trying to figure out if we can get maybe 6 to partner for you to now have 12 is phenomenal, simply because a lot of the students just don't, the transition from CMS to Central Piedmont, it certainly needed some support. And that is just phenomenal that you're in that sharing relationship with CMS. On slide 5, the articulation with the various colleges and universities is just phenomenal. That's just super. I'm hoping that the counselors will be able to talk to CMS parents and community about that articulation so that they'll understand that there is an opportunity right here in Charlotte that might be able to save them some money. On slide 4, at the very bottom, I'm very much interested in workforce development, and what just popped out like a big bright light was your training agreements with Siemens, but all of them, but particularly Siemens, because as we do business improvement grants, both the city and the county, we see various job opportunities coming in that you don't need a college degree, but you certainly need some professional training and community college training. That is phenomenal. At some point, I'd like to learn more about that, but not today. On slide 7, the continuation of both the aviation piece. When I finish talking, what I'd like a response on is a little bit more on the aviation piece and how it relates to the airport. I've often said that's a phenomenal job opportunity that we own, and we're not preparing our youngsters in aviation careers generally, not just pilots. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that piece on number 7. I think that wraps it all up, but I am absolutely impressed about the local opportunities. I would hope that we're able to find a way financially or otherwise to market that with the broader community and with CMS families, because I don't think the families realize the opportunity and value that's available with Central Piedmont. My time's up, but if you could respond to aviation, that would be appreciated.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Griffin. And I'm grateful that you've seen some progress since your time on the board. So these are both new, and we have been recently in conversations with the airport around expanding some aviation training. We're actually having some statewide conversations about partnerships with some equipment that would be needed. That is really around fire rescue out at the airport if something significant were to happen. So those conversations happened prior to the last election. Obviously, I think people were waiting to see if there would be a change. And so we actually have a meeting, I think, either next week or the following as a second meeting. But we are in heavy conversations with the airport. We have had a long-standing relationship with the airport in terms of some job training and some apprenticeships out there in various ways. So happy to follow up and give you some specifics on those. But these are brand new. I think Dr. Hill, if she were here, and I apologize, our provost could not be with us today, she would say these are out there. We're getting ready to start, but we have some really exciting things that we'd like to do, not only with the flight school, but the ground school, and see how we can build those out. But at the airport, we certainly are in some conversations, and once those become more fruitful, I can fill you in a little bit more.
Fabulous.
Sure.
Thank you,
So I'll
Mr. Chairman.
follow up with you on that.
Thank you, Dr. Niedermeyer.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
Commissioner Leek.
Thank you. Let me first say thank you for your work and longevity in Mecklenburg County.
Thank you.
I was asking my chairperson about the parking decks attached to the campus. Are they owned by the campus or owned by the city?
That's a great question. I'm going to turn it over to the brilliant one here. They're a little bit of both, but let her answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yeah, it is mixed ownership. So some of our parking decks we own, some of them we lease back from the county. We lease back from Mecklenburg County.
From the county?
Yes.
Those parking decks?
That is correct.
I would hope that we would know if you're getting revenue, how much funds will that help defray some of the expenses you're asking us to do? Is the state cooperating with their responsibility to that campus?
Yes. So the the responsibility to provide support to maintain our campuses is with each community college's county that they reside in. But to your question about the parking decks, we don't have revenue specific to the parking decks, but what we do charge our students is a campus access and parking security fee. So each of our students is assessed a fee for security as well as parking and campus access. So we take in revenue from the students for that fee, and then we invest that revenue in providing security as well as maintenance towards our parking decks. And so it is currently a shared expense. So we're sharing the expense of the parking decks between our student fee as well as the county's investment.
Thank you. I'd like to know more about it, though. My next question deals specifically with Atrium Women's Program. And I'm always pushing for us to make sure that our men and young boys are taken care of also. So what programs are you going to provide, if you will, that will enhance the health, the living for especially minorities?
Thank you again for the question, Commissioner Lake. So that is a priority. That is a priority for us. So as with most institutions of higher learning, the enrollment for especially men of color, but men overall, has been declining. We've been working really hard to get that number back up. Our specific grant that we asked Representative Adams for, which we just opened, which is our Wellness Center, will be open to everybody. And we are working to communicate to all of our students that we want them to take advantage of that. So it's not only counseling services, it is any kind of wellness service that any student, including our male students, if they feel like they need mental health counseling, if they need a referral for housing situation, food insecurity, all of those things would be provided to the young men who are currently enrolled as well as to any community member who may not feel that they could access that somewhere else.
That stopped me there. We'll talk some more. Thank you so much, because I have several other questions.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
go with Commissioner Meyer, Rodriguez McDowell, and Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you. I really don't have any questions. I'm a big supporter of CPCC and what you guys do, and these programs in particular are amazing. You know, we keep hearing we're tight this year. We're cutting the budget. I do want you to know I'm education, and I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
That's what burns me up. These women are not men.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, first of all, I really appreciate slide 7, the variety of opportunities. It just seems like it's really growing. And I really, I just think it's such a, I don't know, I was trying to think of the right word, but it's just such a great opportunity, no matter what your interests are. Like, it seems like you can find something, a track to go down, and I think it's tremendous. So I don't really have a question at this point. I really want to echo what Commissioner Powell said about the environment and making sure that, what we're doing, we're being good stewards, and wherever students can learn about that too, it would be fantastic.
Great.
So thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, these certainly add to the plethora of 300-plus programs we currently offer. Dr. Hill would be really mad at me, so I'll go back to up there where it says wellness. As we reconfigure and build out at Harris 1 at our Harris Conference Center, not in the conference center, but in the other building that's totally being rehabbed so we can move cosmetology and expand it. But we're also doing that because we're also going to start a barbering program, which the college has never had. It's been something that since I came, people have asked me about almost all the time. So that'll be a good one to add. And then esthetician as well as expanding our massage therapy. So that'll be a great build out over there as well. So just wanted to make sure I put a plug in so that I can report back that I said it.
Before I run out of my time, I did wonder, do students go between campuses?
They do.
They do. So you might go to the campus in Matthews and then go to the campus downtown. Like,
That's correct. And one of the misnomers, I think, is we have a student voices survey that we do annually that Dr. Clark's team is responsible for. But we often hear that transportation is an issue for our students. And I'm not here to tell you that I think we have it solved, but it's actually not the number one thing that our students say that they have a concern about. It's actually down the list, so the data does matter. Let's really ask people if that's a hindrance. So they are going between campuses, and what they really report is the number one thing is obviously finances, which is why we're out, if you saw the other slide, really working hard with our philanthropic partners to move that needle on how much scholarship dollars we can give away. So yes, they are absolutely traversing between our campuses.
Yeah, well, it's when Commissioner Leek was talking about parking, it really, made me think about the transportation aspect. And, those fees add up for students and, parking and, I sure hope that someday the Silver Line will help be able to get students back and forth.
We do as well. Thankfully, it's it's based on your credit hours and a charge. It's not based on your campus or if you're going between multiple. So that's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
It's based on you as a student.
Right.
And the number of credit hours you're enrolled in. So it has nothing to do with if you touch every campus in a semester.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunlap and Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
All right, thank you. Since we're talking about these fees, I want to make sure that parking fees are assessed to people who have vehicles, or is it just every student pays this particular fee?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Thank you for the question. So currently, that fee is assessed to all students that are not exclusively online. So it is a per-term fee based on your credit hours, but if you are 100% online, you are not assessed that fee.
Okay. That's interesting. The other question I had was maintenance vehicles. What is that?
In the request, yes. So if I go back to our request, we have a request for the replacement of 5 very old and aging and in need of repair vehicles. So 5 requested for replacement and 2 new vehicles.
It just says maintenance vehicles, so I guess these are just service vehicles?
For facility services.
Okay.
So they need to be able to travel around campus and between campuses to provide the maintenance, yes.
I got it. And the last thing, I'll just comment. I think it's neat that you guys are developing an aviation program. And like Mr. Griffin, I think that is something that this community needs to be made aware of, because that is certainly something that I know a lot of young people have an interest in, and would certainly grow the program.
Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was such a great presentation. I especially like the budgeting, seeing who has responsibility for what portion, what percentage of the budget, state, county, and federal. I have so many questions, and please feel free to just say, okay, we'll get back to you on that or whatever, because so much is running through my mind. What I first want to ask is, with regard to the programming and the teaching that we always hear corporations and businesses say, that we don't have enough talent in the pipeline. Is that a push-pull? How do you determine, is the programming aligned with demand for businesses or demand for what students want? Because that's the thing that usually gets me. It's like whenever we have a business that's asking for a grant, we always want to know, how many people are you employing here? And one of the issues is, we can't find enough talent with this skill. So I want to know who drives that with regard to the programming. That's number one. Number two, with regard to, I wanted to ask, because Commissioner Leek brought up something about the wellness and the programs. We funded a doula lactation specialist program at Johnson C. Smith that just did not take off well. Is there a program with regard to that because of the Black maternal mortality rate? Is there one there, or if not, is there one in the future? And the alignment with marketing. And then how can the county help more with those type of issues? Like Commissioner Griffin said, there are so many opportunities, and I just don't think our families and our students within CMS, I taught in CMS for 2 years, I don't think they're getting this stuff. Like the automotive program, my son was in it, and it was only at North Meck, was the only school that was offering a track. And then we didn't like North Meck, and so we moved schools, but he couldn't follow that track. So, that was my other question. The automotive program launching this summer, who is that open to?
Yeah, it'll be open, as I understand it, and again, I apologize that our provost is not here. As I understand it, it will be open to any CMS student in the way that we're gonna offer it. So we can follow up with you on that. You asked me a couple questions. On the doula program, I do not believe we have something specific. It could be embedded in one of our nursing programs. We'll double check that. I'll make sure that we get back to you on that. And then you asked me a really important question around workforce partnership. Who determines, and are we really suffering from talent pipeline? It's a little bit of a yes and. So it depends on the company. If they come and say, here's our talent plan and here's what we need, if we have something we can certainly plug in. I think the most important part is work that we're doing as the workforce, as I think, say, engine, the connection that we have with the work that the Charlotte Executive Leadership Council is doing, also the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. I happen to co-chair both the workforce committees on both of those, trying to really map who needs what and what is the future so that we and others in the higher ed space or in the workforce space can try to fulfill that. So everybody, I think, is trying to figure that puzzle out. The good thing for us, I believe, is that we're in the right spaces having those conversations and people are looking to us to help them figure that out. So happy to follow up with some more information on that.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Alden.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. You know, CPCC is funded mostly by county and state taxpayer money, and I just want the residents who may be listening to this to realize that, like, this is your asset, and it's pretty awesome. If you have never been to CPCC, go. It is a gorgeous campus with just really nice amenities, and I have said before, I will say again, I took a very rigorous science class. I took astronomy, and I worked my tail off, and I got an A, and I'm as proud of that as anything I've ever achieved academically because it was really hard. I learned a lot. So I just want all of our residents to realize what an incredible asset and gem it is. So you actually addressed my biggest question, which is mapping what are the labor needs of this community now and in the future and figuring out that puzzle. And I guess I would like to, you know, I know that there's conversations around this, and I hear you that if a employer comes to you and says, we're going to need, 30 machinists, or we're going to need, 100 nurses, or we foresee this need, that you can collaborate. But that still feels a little bit ad hoc. And especially when we know, for example, that our labor force is contracting, that our population is aging, that we're going to have a real problem meeting the needs of our community as those two trends continue. I'm still looking and pushing to really hear who's actually leading it, what's the game plan, like what's the actual, not just ideation, but plan.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying not to specify any conversations maybe I've been in that I want to be mindful of, but I will say that there's been a lot of work done with our corporate partners around what are not only your needs now, but what are your needs in the future. And I think trying to map that out, it is coming together. I think also not only how do we meet those needs, but the things that we don't see on the horizon, which is why I started with the first slide. We've all heard about the enrollment cliff. I am grateful today that the college is not experiencing that, right? Because and I think that's because we have a lot of in-migration. We have a lot of things going on with our partners, both in higher ed as well as in the educational system, to make sure that this is not only a quality but affordable pathway. And I think that's where the growth is coming. So I'm not seeing that, thankfully, today. And I met with a company last week who was touring, who's coming to Charlotte, Mecklenburg. It was just recently announced. We're going to be the training partner. And they may be, I think, saying they're going to bring 70 or 80 jobs, but in a conversation, it could be 3 times that much. Well, I want to have that conversation now so that we're driving that talent to that company. And to your point, we want to know that as soon as possible.
So I would love to be a part of any of those conversations. And can you just address, what are you actually doing to try to get outreach to men, to increase enrollment for boys and men?
We have a new Conquer Possibility campaign that's just landing. Catherine, is it this week? On Monday, thank you. So you're going to see a lot of marketing and communication that have that demographic in it, trying to draw those individuals not only back to the college, but also back to certain programs that we think would be attractive to them. You mentioned to the citizens who may be listening about the college being a great asset, and you talked about the campus. Just want to remind everybody there are 6 campuses, and they're in every part of our neighborhood in Mecklenburg County at the blessing of the taxpayers who've built that out. Every campus looks amazing because of all of the individuals who are not only sitting around this table, but who've been here before, and the voters have put, the public trust in the ground in those parts of our community. So the other part is we've just onboarded a new CRM, which is kind of a communication tool. It is specific about how we drive messaging to our student population. So we are working hand in hand with, back to the other question that got asked with CMS about being able to not only communicate with our dual enrollment students, but also students in Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, but also to their families or their parents or guardians. So we hope as we bring that on as well, we'll be driving the message from 2 vans, not only the communication, but the direct access.
Thank you.
If you could pull up slide 4 for me, please. One, and while that's coming up, I do want to say thank you for the presentation and for being here and for the work. A couple of observations. I think it's pretty clear that a large segment of the board is trying to move toward this connection with respect to workforce. So when you look at bullet point number 3, to the extent that it's possible, to see some data around the matriculation of our student population into those organizations would be really helpful. And I'm assuming that's being tracked since it's.
Yeah, so through our work-based learning unit, there's a team. If you are enrolled in either a registered apprenticeship or just an apprenticeship, a co-op, a work-based learning, and it is an agreement somehow, then we're tracking that. If it's a customized training agreement where either because of investment that's been made that is contractual, we have to report that, so we're happy to get that back to you.
Right.
In both of those veins, yes, it's being tracked and reported.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Also, having sat through the budget request for quite some time at this point, I can tell you that I'm really encouraged and I appreciate the expansion of the workforce programmatic efforts. Over the years, we've talked about that, and I really see a response that I think is really the direction that the board has wanted to go in with you all as partners. And so I did want to highlight that. I think that's really important for us to highlight. I'm so appreciative of you telling the story about the competition. And I think there's several life lessons that I pulled from that. Number one, a credential doesn't necessarily determine aptitude always. And, any specific location that you may be in or our kids may find themselves in, you may be viewed differently, right? But it's how you respond to that. And obviously, our students responded in a way that certainly, and I heard you say that you were really proud, and I hope you take the message that this board and this community is also proud of our students.
Yeah. Our students will matriculate to some amazing places, not only in-state but out-of-state. Some are going to go on to full rides to little Ivies as they have in the past, and some are going to go right into the workforce. They're going to be line workers, they're going to be nurses, and all of that matters. right? Everybody is purposed and everybody has a different path. And we should value that for every person. And that's just been my life's work. So I appreciate your comments.
Absolutely. And the final point is, I want to double down on what Vice Chair Altman said with respect to being able to get the word out. That is really important. I mean, we need to push as many of our residents into the opportunity that is being presented. And in addition to, I'm glad Commissioner Griffin brought up Siemens, because Arthur, you bring Siemens up, you use that as an example quite often.
Yes.
And we are finding that there is a disconnect in how do we connect that opportunity. But that is a opportunity that is advanced manufacturing, great pay, it's a career, as well as I'm sure all of them are, but I've heard Commissioner Griffin bring this up. So to the extent that we can connect up our business investment grant, those organizations that are coming here and making sure that there's a true connection to our residents being able to achieve those opportunities would be really helpful. And the final thing, I'm sorry, I know Commissioner Leek has some additional questions, which I would ask if you could have someone from your staff reach out to her.
Sure.
To gain those questions, and then we would be able to, and then if you'll follow up with her, I appreciate it.
We'd be happy to. Happy to. Yeah.
So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your support and your investment. And again, if I can, as I wrap, just want to say we're excited for the new incoming county manager and to work with him. So looking forward to that. But I would be remiss publicly not to say we're going to miss working with the current manager and wish her all the best in her future endeavors. So congratulations to you on your retirement.
Well, thank you. All right, Madam Manager, we are ready for our next presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next presentation will be by our court partners, and they are all here, so I'm sure they'll want to come up and speak, but I'm going to turn the podium over to Casey Calloway, our trial court administrator. Hi, Casey.
Lee has something for her. Lee has something for her if she could. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman, our Vice Chair, our County Commissioners, County Manager Diorio, members of the Executive Team, Office of Management and Budget, Criminal Justice Services, and other guests. I am Casey Calloway, the Trial Court Administrator, and I am pleased to give this presentation to you today on behalf of the 26th Judicial District, which is serving Mecklenburg County. Thank you for the opportunity to allow us to be here with you. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to recognize and congratulate County Manager Diorio on her retirement. County Manager Diorio, it has been a pleasure to work with you since I have been in this role over the past 4 years. You have ensured that everyone understands the importance of serving the residents of Mecklenburg County. You have formed a lasting legacy, and we are just so thankful for all of your support. And to our incoming County Manager, Bryant, we are so thankful for all of the advice and guidance that you've given us over the years for the budget process, and we look forward to continuing our partnership moving forward. Now, I would like to introduce the following court officials who are here with me today and on whose behalf I am making this presentation. We work collaboratively every day to support our mutual stakeholders like you do, which are the residents of Mecklenburg County. Senior Resident Superior Court Judge Carla Archie, Chief District Court Judge Roy Wiggins, Clerk of Superior Court and Ex Officio Judge of Probate Elisa Chingari, District Attorney Spencer Merriweather, and our Chief Public Defender Kevin Tully. In this presentation, before we outline our budget request for fiscal year 26, we will share the latest data available for the 26th Judicial District and information on resources received from the state and the supplementation currently provided by Mecklenburg County and the City of Charlotte. The vision of Mecklenburg County is to be a community of pride and choice for people to live, learn, work, and recreate. To provide fair and accessible justice to the community is the fundamental organizing principle of the court and our justice partners in Mecklenburg County. We are committed to working collaboratively with the community to prevent and solve problems in order to enhance the quality of life for all of these individuals. Like I mentioned previously, the collaborative partnership of Mecklenburg County and the courts is essential for fulfilling these missions. When the citizens of Mecklenburg County have public trust and confidence in their courts, they live better lives.
Casey, excuse me, do you mind speaking a little more into the microphone, please?
Absolutely. Is that
Thank
better?
you. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I apologize. All right, so first we want to start with thanking you for your support. All right, can everyone hear me? Is that better? Okay, I will use the handheld mic. We always like to thank the county for all of their investments over the course of the previous fiscal year. We are constantly reminded how lucky we are to have your support, especially when we compare ourselves to other judicial districts in the state of North Carolina. Your financial support continues to make an impact for the people of Mecklenburg County. In fiscal year 25, court operations were enhanced by the conversion of 1 year of closed files for the Public Defender's Office, the annual software subscription and services agreement for the jury management system, and the installation of an evidence presentation system in courtroom 5170, which is serving Superior Court for criminal trials. Additionally, court operations were further enhanced with some courtroom audio upgrades for 30 of our courtrooms, the addition of an annotation capture functionality for courtroom 6130, the installation of digital dockets for 8 courtrooms on the 6th floor, and an upgrade of the training room, our TCA training room 4510 equipment. And that is where we have approximately over 150 reservations by members of the public who use the space for training events, continuing education events, things like that. We were also able to use fiscal year 25 funds to purchase new judge office furnishings and a new judicial support workstation. We also used it for the installation of stationary monitor arms and cable management for the county PCs in the self-serve center. And those PCs are used by members of the public, specifically self-represented litigants, so that they can access e-filing. We also want to highlight our 14th annual court camp, which was held in 2024. It's 2 week-long sessions over the summer for high school students aged 14 to 18, which gives them an opportunity to meet with representatives of the legal community, including judges, attorneys, and law enforcement personnel. It's really where they learn more about our justice system. Next, we want to discuss the latest data and how we measure court performance using that data. This chart depicts the local average daily jail population over the past 10 years. The local average daily jail population represents the average number of offenders confined to the Mecklenburg County Jail who are in pretrial status or who are considered locally sentenced. You will note that there is a 26% increase comparing the local average daily population from 2015 to 2024. Additionally, there is a 12% increase in the local average daily population from 2023 to 2024. Possible impacts could be from the recriminalization of several city ordinances in December of 2023, as well as the Pretrial Integrity Act, which was implemented October 1st of 2023. Mecklenburg County has 11% of the state's population, and that just goes to show that this slide represents how many of those folks are actually coming into the courthouse each and every month. So according to data that's provided by the Sheriff's Office, there's an average of 49,417 people that visit the courthouse each month. There were over 593,000 people that visited the courthouse in 2024 alone. And I also want to note that in terms of our filings and how many cases we are processing, in fiscal year 24, Mecklenburg County processed 8% of all civil and criminal filings in the state. The county funds several contract positions to facilitate the timely disposition of cases in Superior Court. This graph shows a trend analysis of the filings and dispositions of felony cases over the last 5 fiscal years. In the next slides, we'll go into greater detail on how we examine those filing dispositions and how we measure court performance. This is a slide that most of you are familiar with. It is our clearance rate, and that is basically the number of dispositions compared to the number of filings. So a clearance rate over 100% means the court has disposed of more cases than have been filed. When clearance rates are consistently below 100%, caseloads will grow. This table reflects the clearance rate of felony cases in Superior Court, which you can see is 169% for fiscal year 24. Now, our clearance rate has significantly improved, you'll note, since fiscal year 2021, and that's for several reasons that I'm going to talk about today. Modifications to court operations during the COVID-19 pandemic, when we limited sessions of court to mitigate the spread of the disease, resulted a drop in our clearance rate, as you can see in fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21. However, we were able to utilize a case management plan to work through our backlog of cases. We expanded court operations to pre-COVID-19 levels and using assistance of the positions that have been funded by the county, and we've seen a significant improvement in our clearance rate. I also want to note that our judicial district adopted what is called offense expansion in October of 2022, and that has impacted the way that new filings are counted in Mecklenburg County. So offense expansion is the practice of listing all the offenses charged against an individual defendant arising from the same incident under the same case number. So prior to this, our judicial district followed the practice of initiating a single case number per offense rather than incident. So therefore, the significant decrease in the number of new filings that you have seen since fiscal year 22, which is approximately 50.4%, reflects this practice of offense expansion. Time to disposition is also a key court statistic that is used in conjunction with clearance rates, and it measures how quickly cases are resolved within established timeframes. It's a crucial tool that we use for assessing court performance, ensuring timely justice, and identifying areas for improvement. So a long disposition can highlight areas where delays are occurring. I also want to note that the North Carolina Supreme Court has promulgated time guidelines that say when we have to dispose of cases. So for non-capital felony cases in Superior Court, the time guidelines provide that 90% are disposed within 365 days of filing, and 100% are disposed within 445 days of filing. When we were before you in February of this year, there was an inquiry related to the time to disposition and how adequate staffing levels are critical to timely disposing of cases. This graph shows you an insight into that and how it's impacted by ensuring that we have the staff to process the cases. So as you can see, this is a trend analysis over the last 5 fiscal years, and this is the time to disposition for felony cases in Superior Court. The bars show the median days to disposition for felony cases. And then you'll see the blue line shows the total number of dispositions that were entered that fiscal year, and the red line is the trend. And as you can see, our median days to disposition have continued to increase. So in fiscal year 24, the median days to disposition for felony cases in Superior Court was 577 days. This is above the time guidelines that have been provided by the North Carolina Supreme Court. Another measurement that we use along with clearance rates and time to disposition is the age of pending cases before the courts. This is so we get an accurate picture of how we're actually managing our caseload. For example, we may have a high clearance rate, but still accumulate an inventory of older cases. So pending caseload consists of cases that have been filed but not yet disposed. These are cases that are waiting for resolution. Like the graph on the previous slide, this shows a trend analysis over the last 5 fiscal years for the age of pending cases in felony court. The bars show the median age in days pending, And the blue line shows the total number of pending cases for that fiscal year. And then the red line is the trend, which you can see is trending upward. In fiscal year 24, the median age of pending felony cases in Superior Court was 501 days. That fiscal year, only 38% of cases were under 500 or under 365 days, and 52.7% of cases were under 545 days. And those, again, are the time standards that have been set by the North Carolina Supreme Court. The county also funds a number of district court positions that support the timely disposition of criminal cases in district court. This shows the trend analysis of filings and dispositions of district court criminal cases, and you can see that we have pulled out the filing disposition as well as the clearance rates. As with Superior Court, modifications to court operations to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 when we're looking at our district court clearance rate have resulted in a significant improvement. But also, I want to just highlight that offense expansion has also impacted district court cases, and it's impacted the way that those new filings have been accounted for. So you'll see that in our latest fiscal year 24, district court criminal cases, which includes criminal non-motor vehicle cases, motor vehicle cases, and infractions, is 109%. Time to disposition, again, that's that key court statistic that we use in conjunction with clearance rates. So we are measuring how quickly these cases are getting resolved in established timeframes. So the North Carolina Supreme Court, the time guidelines for district court criminal cases provide that 100% are disposed within 365 days of filing for non-motor vehicle cases. 100% are disposed within 180 days of filing for criminal motor vehicle cases. 100% are disposed within 90 days of filing for felonies, and 100% disposed within 180 days of filing for infractions. So this graph is showing the trend analysis over the last 5 fiscal years. The bars are representing the median days to disposition. I just want to draw your attention to fiscal year 24. That's our latest fiscal year, and show you that the median days to disposition for the non-motor vehicle misdemeanors was 247 days, which is well above the established timeframes by the North Carolina Supreme Court. Here we are looking at the age of pending cases. Again, this is the third performance measure that we use in conjunction with clearance rates and time to disposition. This is the trend analysis for the last 5 fiscal years for the district court criminal cases. As you can see in fiscal year 24, the median age of pending cases, and again, these are cases that are waiting for resolution. For motor vehicle cases, it was 185 days. For non-motor vehicle cases, it was 196 days. For felonies, it was 105 days. And for infractions, it was 117 days. Currently, Mecklenburg County has the second highest number of pending criminal cases and infractions in district court in the state of North Carolina. So as of March 31st, 2025, there are approximately 40,500 pending criminal and infraction cases in district court. Next, we want to highlight the resources received from the state and the supplementation currently provided by Mecklenburg County and the City of Charlotte that helps us fund our court operations. This graphic is offered to put into perspective how small a percentage of public tax dollars are being spent on the third branch of the government by the state. So the judicial branch's current budget for fiscal year 24-25 is $780.8 million for all 100 judicial districts, which is less than 3% of the state's budget of $31.7 billion for fiscal year 25. When you do the math, essentially less than 1 cent of every tax dollar is going to support the entire judicial branch. According to the Urban Institute, North Carolina is ranked 46th based on per capita expenditures on the courts. The dollar amount spent per person in North Carolina on the courts is $95 per person. For perspective, the District of Columbia ranks highest at $347 per capita. The average per capita expenditure on courts by states and local governments is $158. Mecklenburg County and the City of Charlotte fund many essential positions in the courts. So Mecklenburg County funding for contract positions in fiscal year 25 was $7.5 million, which equates to approximately 14% of our overall position costs. The City of Charlotte's contribution for fiscal year 25 was $944,713, which is approximately 2% of our overall costs. It cannot be underscored enough. We are so thankful that the county and city recognize the importance of funding the courts and how doing so benefits our community. This pie chart depicts funding received from the state of North Carolina, which is 84% of our operating budget, Mecklenburg County, which is 14% of our operating budget, and the City of Charlotte, which is 2% of our operating budget, and this is based on full-time positions. Next, we turn to our budget priorities for fiscal year 26, and our requests really reflect our continued efforts to be fiscally responsible while also addressing the needs of a growing community and increasing demands on the court system. At this time, I will ask my colleagues to join me to provide an overview of their office's budget requests. And while we're waiting on them to join us, I want to provide this chart, which is a comparison of the fiscal year 25 adopted budget to the fiscal year 26 requested budget. For the first line item, salaries and fringe benefits, this is for the funding of one county employee assigned to the district attorney's office. For Larry King's Clubhouse, this is a drop-in childcare facility. It's the only facility of its kind in the state, and this is for payroll expenses. For the AOC and IDS contracts, this is the AOC county contract for 70 positions in my office, the TCA's office, the Clerk of Superior Court's office, and the District Attorney's office. An IDS contract for 16 positions in the Public Defender's office, and the AOC County contract for salary supplementation for 86 Assistant District Attorney positions and 61 Assistant Public Defender positions. The other operational investments are additional funding provided in our operations budget. It includes utilities like CAT TV and cell service, maintenance and repairs for facilities and equipment, software maintenance and tech support, postage for jury summons, printing, document management, subscriptions, dues, books, computer software, furniture, and tech equipment. The one-time funds include document management for the Public Defender's Office, as well as a jury management system upgrade. Our total requested budget for fiscal year 26 is $9,052,263, which is $607,958 more than the fiscal year 25 adopted budget, which is an increase of 7%. Our focus for fiscal year 26 is really timely serving Mecklenburg County citizens. In support of court operations, we're requesting the following improvements. Like I mentioned previously, we have several systems that are working to support programs. One is our RevQ upgrade, and that supports our fine collection program. The fine collection program is unique to Mecklenburg County. It was developed in 1993. It supports people that have been sentenced to unsupervised probation for certain misdemeanor offenses and other offenses in district and superior court. It helps them pay over time, so it allows them for court fines, fees, costs, restitution. They can pay monthly installment payment plans. If they're unable to pay the cost of that time, all of the funds or dues that they need to pay at the time of sentencing. And this is to upgrade the current RevQ system, which helps provide that tracking and case management for those cases. to really ensure that those people are meeting their monthly payments, fulfilling the other obligations that they have for unsupervised probation. Currently, that service is on a platform that is over 20 years old, and so it's being phased out by the vendor. Then we have jurors summons postage. This is postage increases by the United States Postal Service, and that's $7,500. We also have the increase to the jury management system. This is an upgrade, and this will have increased functionality to allow us to have access to analytics that will forecast the number of jurors needed. It will improve juror yield as well as jury utilization for our jury trials. It will also integrate fully with court funds, which is a new system that has been adopted by the state. So we have, in December of 2024, we implemented court funds in which jurors are now paid via a debit card. So paper checks are a thing of the past. Jurors do not have to wait for those, so they get instant access to their debit cards on check-in, and ensures that jurors who are fulfilling their civic duty, the residents of Mecklenburg County, are getting paid timely for their service. Our total request for improvements is $221,849. As we get into specific office requests, we'll start with Larry King's Clubhouse. They are requesting a $5,000 increase, and that's 2% above the fiscal year 25 allocation for payroll increases, which includes a 3% merit cost of living increase for all employees and a projected 8% increase in insurance premiums. Larry King's Clubhouse has 5 employees, including the director. The hourly pay range for the teachers is $17 an hour to $18.98. Mecklenburg County funded 97.5% of payroll expenses in fiscal year 25 for Larry King's Clubhouse. Based on the calculations for this year, Larry King's Clubhouse is just requesting that the county fund 95.6% of payroll expenses for fiscal year 26. I do want to note that this drop-in care facility is critical to ensuring access for people with children to court services. In fiscal year 24, Larry King's Clubhouse had 3,345 visits. In fiscal year 25, year to date, as of the end of March, Larry King's Clubhouse already had 2,623 visits. Next, I will turn it over to Kevin Tully, our Public Defender's Office, for his budget request.
Good afternoon. I am Kevin Tully. I am your public defender from Mecklenburg County. I also want to thank all of you and give my personal thanks to Dina for the years of support and the effort that you've made to understand us and to understand the needs. All right, I'm going to start off by saying we have a crisis in Mecklenburg County with the defense end of things. You have to have enough lawyers doing the work of the defense lawyer in order to have a healthy court system. We don't have that in Mecklenburg right now. The major crisis is really in the private sector. My office does not represent every indigent person who's charged criminally. We can't. The volume is too high given the positions that we have from the state and even with the positions that you provide. We used to have a list of lawyers in this county that was over 100 strong that were willing to take assignments, clients from us, when we couldn't accept that client. That list has shrunk to 11. Okay, so we don't have enough lawyers doing the work. So the positions that you have been supporting have never been more critical. What that means is my offices and my lawyers and my staff have been taking on more and more work. But at some point, you're really running afoul of things. What are the consequences of that? One is an erosion of trust in your court system locally. You know, there are large sections of our community that don't trust the court system to begin with. When you have greater delays because lawyers aren't available, when you have people who are given short shrift because their lawyer doesn't have sufficient time to spend with them, it erodes that confidence, and we can't afford that as a community. It does impact the rights of your residents. The Bill of Rights doesn't rank our rights. It doesn't say one right in the Bill of Rights is more important than the others. The right to free speech, the right to bear arms are co-equal with the right to effective assistance of counsel. And we are challenged right now to provide residents charged with crimes with effective assistance of counsel. There are safety concerns that I'm sure Mr. Merriweather could address in terms of when you have delays in the court system in resolving things, what that can mean for our community. And lastly, there's a dollar cost to that. You've seen the jail population has been rising. Part of that is a result of cases taking longer to resolve. And that costs you as a county a lot of money, particularly at a time when your county sheriff's office is struggling to remain staffed. So that's the need. That's the crisis we're facing. As far as the numbers that you see, what those amount to is a request that the attorney positions that you currently fund at $60,000 be funded at $64,000. To give you a little perspective on that, the state, when they fund a position in our office, funds it at $101,000. And we understand and we do use these positions that you fund for starting lawyers, right, at the bottom of the thing. But we have to, if you're gonna fund them, we have to be able to fill them. And it is increasingly difficult to fill these positions at that rate. Today, to give you an example, I was conducting job interviews. This is a new thing for us in Mecklenburg at the PD's office. There are new public defender's offices being created around us. And there are some in Union County now, Cleveland County. And we were talking with a lawyer who was wanting to come join our office. They've been in that other office for 2 years and their salary is $89,000. I can't come close to that because my lawyers start off at $60,000. We can't accelerate them once they move on to the state ledger to that same rate. So it is increasingly difficult to even fill the positions. So that's why we're asking that it increase to $64,000. The rest of the increase is really accounted for by the contractually obligated things, which is the FICA and workers' comp increases that come along with that salary increase.
Turn it over now to our district attorney.
Kevin is taller than I am, so I have to stand up so you can actually see me. But again, I'm Spencer Merriweather. I have the privilege of being the elected district attorney here. I should also say that for all the ways in which we believe that our court units are disadvantaged compared to other counties across the state, certainly with the kind of support that we receive from this county commission and certainly the kind of relationship that we have been able to enjoy with our county manager, we are exceedingly grateful for that. Kevin is right about the nature of the crisis. I will certainly answer whatever questions that you have about the specifics of our need. However, I do want to make sure that I'm walking you through exactly what the ask is for my office. What you see before you is essentially a 5% increase for the ask for my office over the last fiscal year. And that essentially comes from the very things that Kevin described. First, for a salary adjustment for assistant district attorneys. Essentially, our average salary right now is $60. That would take us up to $64. For legal assistants in our office, currently the salary is $43,000 for essentially a paralegal in Charlotte. That would take that up to $45,000. That is a 6.66% increase for attorneys and a 3.66 increase for our legal assistants. The average for people who have between 0 and 12 months of experience starting across the state before we talk about any supplement is $70,000 elsewhere in the state. That's obviously not what we're starting with here, but we're glad to get the support that we have. But it's the reason why we're asking for an increase to 64 just to remain competitive when you add that supplement onto it. So if most of our youngest attorneys are actually remain in those county positions, not just for a single year, but even for 2 years. And when we start talking about 2-year averages across the state, we're talking about $75,000 for those attorneys. And again, right now, I pay them $60,000. And that's despite our higher cost of living and the like. All of that adds to, as far as the salary adjustments, adds up to a grand total of $884,000. With the fringe benefits, that is also an increase of $41,492. Obviously, that includes FICA, retirement, and the like. We always try to be responsible stewards of the resources of both the county as well as the state. It's the reason why we try to make sure that our ask of you is responsible, knowing that this is not your function, but also knowing that our county cannot function well in the absence of the support that you provide. But again, I'll be happy to answer whatever questions that you may have at the conclusion of this presentation. Thank you.
Next is for the Trial Court Administrator's Office. Our request is for a total of $54,733 increase. That's a 4% increase above the fiscal year 25 allocation. And it's for the funding of 14 positions in our office, and that is for a salary increase, for a prospective legislative increase, as well as recruitment and retention, and then the cost of FICA retirement and workers' compensation benefits increases to the adjusted salaries. And I don't know that I've ever mentioned this before, but the 14 positions that are funded in my office on the contract, so while other offices use it as an ability to have entry-level staff join their office, get trained, we're in a much dire position. And so I use those 14 positions. They fund an entire division, our case flow management division in our office, which is essential. It is critical to managing these cases, ensuring the criminal cases, they track the cases from the time of filing to disposition to scheduling. Every single person but 2 in that division is funded using these essential funds that the county provides. And now I will turn it over to our clerk of court.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Elisa Chengieri. Is it working? I am the clerk of Superior Court. I really appreciate giving space and time for this conversation today. I feel as though I've had the opportunity to share with you the status of my office, but I want to take this opportunity just to review a few core responsibilities that we hold. I think that people often immediately know the work of the district attorney and the work of the public defender, but the work of the clerk is a bit more mysterious. First, I will say that we hold the responsibility for making judicial decisions as an arm of the Superior Court in matters of probate. That includes guardianship, incompetencies, foreclosures. These are cases that are heard, orders that are rendered. I have an amazing team of judicial hearing officers who hold court and hear these cases every day. The clerk of Superior Court is also the comptroller for the entire system. That means we are taking in fees, fines, investing money for minor trust, holding bond payments. Every nickel and dime runs through our office. We have a bookkeeping and a cashier team. We manage this money with fidelity and turn it over to the state as aligned by the statute. Third, we are the record keeper. So in this year and a half, we have had the biggest launch in North Carolina of moving paper to an e-courts platform. We have done that as successfully as the system allows. We have done a good job of taking in paper, making it accessible and available to the community, to the public, and we have fought through some difficulties, but we are the #1 troubleshooters when it comes to moving through those difficulties, working with all of our court partners in the community. We are also court managers. That means sending out notices. That means taking in evidence and supporting the courtroom when it's in session. That means any number of things of processing paper, orders, and ensuring that our public and court partners have that. We also oversee the largest body of personnel within the North Carolina Judicial Branch. That is right here in our clerk's office. So we have a robust personnel system as well, and what I can share is that our vacancy rate is low. Any position that this county has allotted for our use to be able to expand services, we have been able to fill that position, and I'm really proud that we have made that area of improvement. So what I come before you asking for today is, I will not say a drop in the bucket because I am too grateful for any one position that you would afford us, but I can tell you that our need is 36 positions. We currently hold 220, 8 of which are funded by the county, others by the state, but our workload study says that we need 256. I have been asking for those 36 positions from all tiers of the government for 2 years. This time I'm asking for 4. Why 4? I am in crisis management mode. And the 2 areas within our court system where I believe the bleeding is happening is in our small claims and in our estates division. These are people who are trying to maintain housing and people who have lost a loved one. The growth in those areas have been 70% over the past 5 years, surpassing all others. This is an area where customer care is important. People call you and they call me. They call the media and they say, I have lost a loved one and I am delayed in hearing a response from the court. That is a legitimate concern. We want to be able to address those concerns in those major areas, which is our summary ejectment, small claims. That means keeping a roof over your house, over your head, over your family, in terms of our housing. And the second would be that of the estates and managing those. So that's where we've had the most growth. That's where we have the greatest need. And that's where these 4 positions that are being asked would be allocated.
As you can see, together, that's the Superior Court judges, the District Court judges, the Clerk of Superior Court, the District Attorney, the Public Defender, the Sheriff, as well as myself. We collaborate daily to ensure that there is justice in Mecklenburg County. As our mission states, we are committed to working collaboratively with the community to prevent and solve problems in order to enhance the quality of life for all individuals. Your vision is one of Mecklenburg County, and it will be the best local government service provider. You've consistently maintained a local government that is effective, efficient, responsible, and accountable. Partnerships with the courts, as well as others in the nonprofit, in the faith community, and the private sector, is bringing people together from every background to ensure that our community is resilient and able to address and solve community problems. Your constant and continued support of the courts ensures that the residents of Mecklenburg County will be a community where they choose to live, learn, work, and recreate. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity today. And now, are there any questions?
Well, thank you for the presentation, and thank you all for being here. We appreciate the partnership and the work that you do. I'm sure there are questions and comments, and so I'm going to start with Commissioner Townsend Ingram, then go to Commissioner Dunlap and Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
You would start with me this time, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We can always come back.
Wow, that's a lot. I think what my greatest concern and question is, from the time we listened to DA Merriweather's first request and so now, is who is responsible for not funding what is mandated, obviously, that needs to get funded? Is it our North Carolina General Assembly? Is there, the Mecklenburg County delegation? Is there somebody that is advocating and lobbying for those funds? One of my questions is whether or not there is coordination between the county sheriff's office with the mandates for ICE that we have. Is there a cost associated with that? My second question is just with funding, is there a way to say, okay, this is the number of cases that we've cleared, and based on the national average or based on the state average, this is the amount of money that is required to clear cases. Is there something that we can use, a standard, so that we can require those persons that are not holding up their end of the deal, those agencies, to actually hold up their end of the deal? I mean, it's probably a toss of a coin, since they're not doing it for school systems, but I'm just curious.
I will address that question first. Thank you for the question. I can tell you that I spent 3 days in Raleigh last week doing that exact same thing, knocking on the doors of our legislators, our Mecklenburg delegates, and beyond, sharing the needs of the court system, and not just on behalf of the Clerk of Superior Court, because this is an entire system of public trust and confidence. We can quantify what the need is. We do quantify what the need is, and we ask for it. Nevertheless, there are many new initiatives, many of which are circulating through the House and the Senate right now, that put new responsibilities on the court system, particularly the clerk's office, and those are those are generally not funded. So we are often taking on more responsibilities and no workforce to effectuate that.
What about the mandate? Is there coordination with the requirements for ICE, especially with the new things that are coming down? What things have been required of you that are new from the state government, or that you have a responsibility to do that may or may not have been funded? Maybe it's a mandate that's funded, that's not funded.
I can only speak for my office. There's nothing in any bill or piece of legislation passed by the state having to do with immigration that has the title of district attorney in it. I don't imagine it has anything with public defender in it. There may be some things actually having to do with our clerk of court, but I don't think so. Just to go back to your question, obviously the General Assembly factors in a significant way on how we are resourced. Everything says that it's their job. Much like the clerk has spent the 3 days last week at the General Assembly. I'm going tomorrow. We were fortunate to get some favorable news for the District Attorney's Office in the Senate budget, which suggested that they were willing to add as many as 10 new prosecutor positions and 5 additional legal assistant positions. The tea leaves that I can read from the House budget are not necessarily as promising, which is part of the reason why I'm going up there tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. But it does take a sustained effort. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't mention that often we're comparing ourselves to other jurisdictions in our state, and that's a mistake. Okay. That I would encourage all members of our community to be looking at Jacksonville, looking at Nashville, looking at Memphis, looking at cities across and communities across our region to compare what you think you deserve in this county. Part of the reason why there's been such a misunderstanding about what the needs are here is because a lot of the folks in the General Assembly are looking at their home and saying, well, hey, we don't have these problems. But in fact, the challenges that we are facing here are so much more vast than what any other community in our state is facing. That's got to be a part of what the demands are from our General Assembly.
That's what I'd love to see in the presentations.
And Commissioner, very quickly, I know we're out of time. We have workload studies. So to answer your first question about what is that quantifiable number, those are workload studies that are created by the AOC in collaboration with the National Center for State Courts that are given to the General Assembly every year that say, and it's loosely based on, it's an algorithm that they use, but it's based on the number of filings, and it says how much your office needs in terms of staffing resources to support the number of filings that are coming into your county. And one note that I will make about, you asked about immigration. There was a new bill, and our Chief District Court judges here, but it went into effect earlier this year, and it requires ICE detain or hold in the processing of new paperworks for magistrates. So that has been an additional administrative responsibility. To my knowledge, there was no additional funding allocated, but it is an additional 3-step process that magistrates have to go through in terms of receiving those orders, getting them to the clerk's office, and making that physical determination of confirming a person's identity for purposes of immigration.
Yep, that's what I wanted to know.
And I will add that there to quantify things, the workload study that was done that has been provided to the General Assembly going back several years indicates that my office, to do the work we're currently doing, should have an additional 30 lawyers.
Let's move to Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Casey, when you first got your position, I used to think that you had big shoes to fill. Now you've made those shoes bigger. So I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you, Commissioner.
To the entire panel, I'll be honest, you've made a compelling case as to why we ought to support what you're asking for. And to the degree that our budget can afford it, I will support it. And, you know, there's just nothing to say about what the state does not do. They haven't done it for a long time. I don't expect that they will do it. I heard some of those early reports as well coming out of their budget talks. I hope that it'll bear some fruit for Mecklenburg County, but I don't have any faith that it'll do that. But thank you all for the service that you render.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm really speechless. I think it's really outrageous, just this whole discussion, you know. It's like what you guys are trying to do on a Mayberry budget is just, I don't know how you do it. And when you said that the vacancy rate is low in the clerk's office, it really made me think, are they just so dedicated to the work that they stay? Like, how is it that you're having a low vacancy rate with such poor, you know, pay and so much work?
Well, one thing I will share is that we were totally depleted during COVID. We lost 46% of our staff. Wow. So what you see is our concentrated efforts in rebuilding. Well, not only were we able to rebuild, we were able to rebuild in time enough to learn, train, and launch eCourts. So we are thankful to have so many dedicated people who were willing to do that heavy lift and to stick with us. I will just also offer that we work very hard to take care of ourselves, to have an environment of well-being. We often say that it's our responsibility to be the rainbow in someone else's clouds.
Well, I just have to say thank you for what you guys do. I mean, I just don't know that many people literally that would do what you do for what you do it for. I mean, it's really, it's just a failure. It's just a failure of government. And I do hear this in my district of people talking about our judicial system and how broken it is. And I feel like they just have no idea how broken it really is because of this funding. And every chance I get, I do try to speak about it. And, you know, people have to realize that everything is connected. And to have less than 3% of our state budget going to the judicial, it's insane. So I better stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll go with Commissioner Meyer, Commissioner Leek, then Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, and I don't want to just keep repeating the same thing, but I too am speechless. I'm so angry, and 3 minutes is not nearly enough time to express that anger. It really makes you wonder if the North Carolina General Assembly wants Mecklenburg County to fail, and not just here, but in education too. They just do not. They do not want to cooperate with Mecklenburg County. And we're hurting here, and our residents are hurting. People who are innocent, like you said, just, you know, needing to get death benefits and the like. It's hurting our residents. And I'm curious, when you go there, and you know, it's just horrible that you have to go lobby. You're taking your time out of your day to go lobby. And when you talk to them, when you're looking them in the eye, do they look at you and say, no, we're not going to give you the money. We don't have the money. when the fact is they do have the money? I mean, I know that's a rhetorical question. I don't know how they react to you, but I too am with everyone here. We support you. We support this budget. And I know you're not asking for what you need. You need way more from us. But I support this, and, you know, I wish you would shoot for the stars. I wish you would ask for more, what you really need. I wish there was a column that had what we really need and what we're asking for. I wish that was there. And my real question is, does anyone go to the press? Because people don't know about this. And the press has to fight this fight because they're not listening to you and they're not listening to us and they're not paying attention. Do the press come to you? Do they ask questions?
I will say that the Observer did run a story on the crisis of private assigned counsel and the lack thereof in Mecklenburg, and highlighted the crisis that I just described.
When was that?
3 months ago.
It just kind of goes away. There's no steam. We need to pick it up because the people don't realize that it's not the judge's fault and it's not your fault. It's really the state who's holding the purse strings. It's their fault. We're not paying our people enough and we're not able to hire. And that's why things are so slow and people do not understand it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Leek.
Let me first say thank you for the presentation, and I've heard from you many years, even when I was on the school board, some of you, campaigned with some of you. And I grieve because my seniors and almost locked in houses because of the crime rate and the growth of Mecklenburg County and the non-participation on the part of the city in helping us to defray some of these costs that we have. Fines you give, I'm not sure how you deal with it. That doesn't matter to me right now. I'm just concerned about not meeting your needs to make sure that the criminals who commit the crimes paid for the crimes in terms of what the law says you must do. But when we look at a president who has many, well, I won't get into that because I look at white-collar crime and I see them getting away with more than what ought to happen. So whatever I can do to support you, I'm voting to make sure that you get everything that you ask for, just like Central Piedmont, just like the school system. So I am going to support you 100% in the community and as it relates to making Charlotte, Mecklenburg, a safe place to live and to hold those who are accountable. I was in Alabama a couple of weeks ago. Our problems are different from the problems in these other counties because of the largeness of our city. And many of these people come to this town and stay a week or two, commit a crime, and keep going. Every morning and every night, you see where somebody's been killed or somebody has been mistreated, fires being started. Do they live in Mecklenburg County or not? Where do they live? How do we need to, we don't need to baby them, and the criminals are getting younger. They're not getting older, they're getting younger. And that worries me because it takes away from their livelihood of understanding being good citizens. And all of us are not good citizens. And I listened to the young lady on the city council talk about the criminal activity of members of political arenas. That's another issue. And we have it here in Mecklenburg County. I'm talking about the county. As she talked, I could relate to what she was saying. So I'm hoping that we can make it better, that your lunch hour would be better. And thank you for all that you do. Thank you for ringing the bell.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your presentation. Clearly, I'm supportive in trying to think how to frame the issue for the general public. We talk about revolving doors when people talk about crime and people not being adjudicated in a timely fashion. One of the things Casey mentioned in her presentation, I want you to speak to that in just a minute, but the quality of life in terms of people feeling safe is a part of our marketing for economic development. As corporations and businesses come into the community, it's not just the CEOs, it's the line workers who really have a sense about the quality of education, the quality of am I going to be safe, my family's going to be safe. But to hear your presentations, and certainly they are more specific, but Casey or somebody, come back to me on your comment about the district court in Mecklenburg County has the largest lengthy time for disposition of any county in the state, if I heard you correctly. I think that is horrible. And the district court, back in the day when I worked at Legal Aid, used to be the people's court, so to speak. If you go down on Monday morning into district court, you see a lot of people that look like me.
Always.
Okay? But those are your workers. Those are your wage earners in terms of taking off from work. Those are the fathers in terms of child support payments, et cetera. That has to work better. All of the court system has to work better. But what you just said, can you elaborate just a little bit about the district court having the longest time for dispositions? And is there something we can do, and is your budget addressing that particular issue? And if not, is there something else you can share with us to say, if we had this, we have a good likelihood of reducing that? Because that specifically as a budgetary item is really important when people are breaking windows, larceny of vehicles, I call it the regular criminal stuff is in district court, and that's what gets people upset. This is what gets parents and families and communities concerned about crime in Mecklenburg County. So please speak to that and more specifically about your request. All of it. I'm not ignoring time for disposition in Superior Court, but district court really got my attention.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Commissioner Griffin. So Mecklenburg County has the second highest pending cases in district court of criminal cases and infractions. And currently, as of the latest data, that's 40,500 cases. That's a significant number of cases. The time to disposition, so as you can see here, so for those misdemeanors, and that's indicated by the brown colored bar on the graph. So the time to disposition, the median age of that case was 247 days. So that's an incredible amount of time, and that's from the time of filing to the time the case was actually disposed. So that we wanted to really show and highlight the time to disposition and the age of our pending cases, because that's really how long cases are staying open in our system before they're getting resolved. That's where you have victims who are waiting for resolution. That's where you have defendants who are waiting to move on with their lives and have whatever is going to happen so they can get started again. I also want to highlight the age of pending cases. So when you look at the age of pending cases, you can see it's on the rise. So this is district court criminal, Commissioner. This is just what you were talking about previously. So you can see for those misdemeanor cases, so these are cases that haven't reached disposition yet. They're waiting for some sort of resolution. So the median age of misdemeanor cases in district court for last fiscal year was 196 days. You can see for motor vehicle cases, it was 185 days. For felonies, it was 105 days. And for infractions, it was 117 days. So in terms of your second part of your question on our budget requests, so our AOC and our IDS contracts that we've asked for fund positions. So they fund attorney positions, so assistant district attorney, assistant public defender, clerk positions, and legal support staff divisions or positions in my office, as well as in the district attorney's office and social work positions in the public defender's office. And we need those positions to move these cases through the system. So it's not just the additional judge resource, but we need a clerk to be in the courtroom to fulfill all the processes that need to happen in terms of paperwork, taking minutes of court. We need case management staff in my office to schedule the hearing to make sure there's case tracking of those events. We need attorneys to represent the state. We need attorneys to represent the defendant should they qualify for court-appointed counsel. So it's a collaborative system, and we need all those pieces. But essentially, one factor with that is our funding request is for personnel, and personnel will support closing that gap and improving our time to disposition and decreasing our age for pending cases.
This is my third budget year, and the clerk has asked for support. And whatever criminal cases that go before district or federal or superior court, there's paperwork. And clerks have to play a role in that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that. Mr. District Attorney.
It's also just important to know that it's gotten harder. The work has gotten harder. The cases are more complex. When you talk about coming down here, a couple decades ago, no one was talking about body-worn camera being reviewed for an individual case, and now you can't find a case without that. That's part of our function now that just didn't exist before. When you're talking about people having to draw blood and then waiting on forensics in district court, that's something that wasn't happening with the frequency that it happens now. It's also true that our court system runs more criminal sessions than any other place in the state. That when I go other places, they might have a district trial courts or administrative courts once a week, once a month. We're running multiple courts 2 times a day in those courtrooms. And yet, because of what our need is, but really what our resources are, even the number of sessions that we have might be shrinking. Shrinking despite what you see there. So unless you are still have a system that it still has the resources coming in to meet the need that's growing, we're going to continue to see charts like this. But again, imagine what we would have if we didn't have the support that you folks are providing now.
Commissioner Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You all are incredible public servants. I just want to sincerely thank you and your teams for everything you do. So personally grateful to you. I want to echo our Chairman Emeritus saying that you have made a very compelling case, and to the extent the manager, can make recommendations to fully support, I too join in wanting to do that to the greatest extent possible. One thing I have a question and an idea. So I guess I'll start with the idea. I would love to partner with you, Mr. Tully, and you, Mr. Merriweather, and the clerk to maybe collaborate with Mecklenburg County Bar, to maybe take an ad out, to advertise. Lawyers in this state are supposed to do pro bono work. It's not required, but they're encouraged to. And I was talking to the chairman, maybe we could have something where we recognize once a year lawyers who contribute 10 hours or 20 hours or 10 cases or 20 cases, because if you used to have a roster of 100, and I believe there are about 5,000 lawyers in this county, and now you're down to 11, Houston, we have a problem, and I would love to help, and I know that my colleagues would love to help. So if you would like to meet offline, please do reach out to me, because I would love to together work with the Mecklenburg County Bar and see if we can't do more to raise awareness about how people could check the box for their pro bono requirement. And then my question is, with the Council for Children's Rights, there were 3 departments. There was public defender, there was high-risk custody cases, and education. I believe education's still in place, but the public defender piece of it has completely shut down, I believe, because of the lack of federal funding. So I want to know, from the viewpoint of the 3 of you, because what has happened is that the judges would appoint CFCR when a child needed it, and I believe CFCR did 100% of the juvenile defense in this county. And so if those two programs are gone now, I very much want to know from y'all what's going to happen. And this also dovetails back into my first point about recruiting more lawyers into the volunteer system. That might be a part of our conversation too. And thank you.
Thank you.
Before you answer, because she asked all three of you all, I'm going to ask you all to truncate your answers, please. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will take you up on the offer. We'll be in touch. As specifically with the CFCR and the juvenile representation, it is true that the juvenile representation aspect of that organization has ceased. I will tell you that everybody turned and looked at me and my office and said, what are you going to do? We don't have the resources. There are 5 extremely brave lawyers that worked at CFCR that have gone into private practice and will now be billing the state on an hourly rate. The county was generous enough to at least allow them to work, have some space in my office, so they would have a place to meet with clients. So that's where we are right now. How long that'll last, we don't know. But they are incredibly brave people, very committed to those children.
And Commissioner, the custody advocacy program for the Council for Children's Rights, that too has shuttered. That's that high conflict resolution cases and domestic court cases. They had a caseload of more than 50. And I would love to partner with you to figure out a way to resolve that, because we do have nearly 50 pending cases that were dependent upon the investigation of those attorneys assigned to those cases to provide recommendations to the judge on custody and visitation matters.
The cases that we're talking about are not kids picking daisies, not kids breaking windows. We're talking about murders. So from a victim perspective, if cases are delayed because we can't actually even get to the point of assigning people attorneys in the same way, that is a significant public safety threat to our community at large. I was giving money out of my pocket to Council for Children's Rights for years, and people say, well, why are you doing that? It's for juvenile defenders. I'm like, no, it's for our community as a whole. These people are doing a service. And so in the absence of that structure, there's no question that there's a huge cost.
As someone who did that work of defending children with CFCR, I too was very disappointed to hear of it folding. My office took on willingly the responsibility of doing much of that administrative work in the absence of CFCR. So making those assignments, doing conflict checks where we can, making sure that those cases are assigned and reassigned. We were happy to fill the gap.
You good? Okay. Just a few things. One, I want to double down and echo the sentiments of my colleagues. I want to say thank you for your work. Thank you for what you're doing. It looks like it's bubblegum and shoestring holding this thing together. Don't know how you've done it. I've seen this. I've seen these budget requests in the past, and it hasn't gotten any better. And so tomorrow, the manager will present her recommendations to this board and the community. And I just remind my colleagues that it's up to us to prioritize. And so we're going to have to make some tough decisions as we look at this. But I can tell you that based on the comments and the feedback that I hear, you are a high priority. I think it's been reflected in the past, and I don't suspect that that will change in the future. So thank you so much for being here and for your work.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
First class.
All right, I think, Madam Manager, that's all the major agenda items, and so what we'll do is move right into commissioner reports. And I'm sorry, before we move, one thing, I know Commissioner Townsend Ingram had some follow-ups, so you'll get those out, and you'll just expect some additional questions from Commissioner Townsend Ingram. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll move into commissioner reports, and we will start with Commissioner Meyer.
No report.
Commissioner Leek.
I just want to say to the members of the county, you work hard. do an excellent job, but we have some problems. And I listened to what was said with the city council about what's going on. And we are almost in the same shape they're in as it relates to not getting along and working behind closed doors to kill each other off in different ways. It's unacceptable. And the public sees it, the public knows it. And they talk about it, and you talk about it, because you're operating in the process. And so I'm glad she lifted it up in the city. So I will be calling a press conference to talk about our problems on the county.
Commissioner Griffin.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Just briefly, I've had several jobs in my career, within the private sector, within schools, municipalities. I just want to just lift up our county employees and what an excellent job you do. I was able to participate in the
County employees.
Crowns of Enterprise Award for small minority businesses. It was just wonderful. It was inspiring, it was encouraging, and specifically our county employees, you should have seen the way the chamber was transformed. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So I just want to say kudos, thank you so much, and I've appreciated each and every one of you.
Commissioner Dunlap.
No report.
Commissioner Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say, speaking of joyful, happy things, Commissioner Townsend Ingram, that I also had a similar experience this morning. I want to lift up Jamelia Davis, the Office of Economic Development, and Dr. Johnson's team there. We had our business launchpad and Get Up and Grow celebration with this cohort today in this very room at 9 a.m. And it was really, it was just fantastic. It is so exciting to see us support small business owners, minority and women-owned, just take it to the next level. And, you know, we know that these small businesses are the backbone of our local economy, and it was really fantastic, Mr. Chairman. So thank you to all the people who had the vision and leadership and put that in place before I got here. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all. I do have some items that I want to lift up. First, I just want to remind everybody about the manager's recommended budget tomorrow, 11 a.m. Also, want to put on the radar for people, I'll be hosting an intergovernmental summit with Chairwoman Sneed from the school board and Mayor Pro Tem Dante Anderson this Saturday at the Bowplex on Independence. It will go from 10 to 12. We'll also have community resources available between 9 and 1. The Crowns of Enterprise Gala was phenomenal. OED continues to shine, and I just want to shout them out. Certainly Jamelia, Monica Greer, Aviance McKenzie, Britt Clampett with public information, and the entire team. Just want to say thank you so much for that. Also, got a chance to go by and see one of the places we invested in as a board, and that was Forest Point. Dina, it's the facility that we invested in for housing for our seniors 55 and up. And if you have not gone, it is fantastic. That was an amazing investment. So I want to just say thank you for that. Also, the final thing, we have our partners here from the courts, and many of us have been able to participate and go to the recovery court proceedings. I went to the celebration, the anniversary, and I want to lift those guys up and give them an amazing shout out for the work that they have been dedicated for decades in this space. They really, truly, honestly care. Recovery Court. And it was, again, it was an honor to be there. And Sonia was there with her team. So thank you for your efforts as it relates to that. And that concludes my report, and at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.